everybody. Welcome back to Rejecting Smallness. I just want to say thank you to everybody who listened to the first episode. I honestly just want to give gift baskets to everybody because I truly did not think anyone would listen. Um, but I got lots of text messages and kind words, and I'm just so overjoyed and grateful with all the response that I got and all the people that shared it. So I just wanted to say thank you. And yeah, here we go. We're in episode 2. Okay. So what's been coming up for me recently is just rest, and that my rest is productive. I had went to the doctor in January for my shoulder, and pretty much he was just like, take these pills, and if it's still a problem, we will give you a cortisone shot. Well, I didn't want to take those pills, and I definitely did not want to get a cortisone shot. But I know turmeric can help inflammation, and I knew WebMD could also, like, I could find like some more holistic ways to help my shoulder, because my mom had issues with the same medicine that he was recommending. And I'm just not a big medication person anyway. Like, I don't want to take medication. Like, I will avoid it at all cost. And so I Googled pretty much what to do for my shoulder, and he gave me like some stretches and things like that that I could do. So I was doing that, and for the most part, it subsided. But then somehow or another, the pain moved from my shoulder to my chest, which was a lot worse and also very scary because chest pain, it was like very close to my breast, and that just made me scared because I was like, oh, is this breast cancer? And so when I Googled that, it was just like, yep, breast cancer, you got breast cancer, this a lot. Like, it was just all these kind of scary things. But then on the end, they'll show you like one that's like maybe closer to what you actually have. And so what I saw at the end was strained chest pain and strained chest muscle, and that kind of felt closer to what I was feeling because it didn't feel like a lump. It was a little bit elevated, but it was pretty much like how I contorted my body. I could feel it differently. So I looked up like what to do to treat that, and it pretty much was like, take it easy, stop working out that area, um, ice, and just like rest, like as much rest as you can get. Like, that's what you need to do, which does not come easy to me. It's not even that I'm like a super hard worker. It's like I'm like a person that struggles with like just being busy for the sake of being busy, and then nothing really even gets done. It's just like, oh, I'm just busying myself with so many things, but then I'm like on my phone or whatever. Um, and so I still find ways to rest, but it's like not intentional rest. It's kind of like, I guess, distracted rest, you could say. So kind of just putting a whole day to like, okay, I'm just gonna like really chill the F out and try to get this pain in my chest gone was a little bit difficult because it's like, even though I fill my days with certain things that still may not get done, it's like I still feel like I need to kind of have these things to be like progressing whatever idea I have of my life. I just dedicated a day to really chilling and watching TV, reading books. I was reading The Body Keeps the Score, which is it was already reading me to filth, pretty much saying, your body is already holding so much trauma, so even more so, chill the F out. And icing my chest. And the more that I was doing that, like as the day went on, I just was realizing like it shouldn't take me having chest pain to have a day of relaxation. Like, I shouldn't have a thing to cause this. Like, this should kind of be a normal thing. Like, it should be normal to incorporate rest and relaxation into your life, but it's not. And I feel like so many people really don't even get that unless they're basically on their deathbed, or like they've had a stroke, or just something that where they've accumulated so much stress to the point where their body is like yeah, we have to put you down. And so I didn't want to get to that, which was why I was like, okay, let me really address the pain that I'm having in my chest, because it was really like the shoulder, it was kind of like I could push through this, but the chest, it was like, nah, like it was like nothing I've ever felt before. And I'm still having kind of remnants of it now, but for the most part it's gone. Um but yeah, it just kind of baffled me, and it also really made me upset to know that rest is not afforded to everybody. Like, Black people and people, like communities of color, have truly had to, like, just like labor has been such a part of these communities' lives. And then it's like, okay, like you retire and like that's when you get that. But that's not the way the other half of the world is living. Like, rest is truly a part. Like, I was reading where Jeff Bezos doesn't take meetings in the morning so he can spend time with his family. And I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like, you would prioritize those things because those are the things that bring you happy, and those are the things that brings you happiness. And that's what you're truly doing it for. Like, you're doing it to see your family. You're doing it to bring yourself financial stability so you can achieve X, Y, and Z. And so I feel like my generation is really waking up to the idea of like, yeah, we don't want hard labor. Like, we don't want to live a life of labor. Not really. Like, not saying we won't work hard, but not every day of our lives, you know? And it feels a little bit scary to say that, because it's like, you young people and like your idealistic ways, but it's like our ancestors really built this country. So like, I think we can come for some rest. Like, I think our generation can come for some freaking rest and relaxing, especially now that there's so many different ways to make money. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm coming for my rest. I'm coming for my relaxation. I'm coming for my life of luxury. Like, I'm not here for that. And I feel like there's been so much shame in our communities around rest. Like, growing up, if I was like laying in bed too long, what you doing today? We about to clean this house up. We finna like you're gonna be working, and that's because that's all we've been taught. That's all we've been conditioned to do is just work, work, work. And then you get disease. Like, my grandfather had a stroke. My mom is having so many health issues. My grandma, like everybody. And it's like, yeah, you get that when you just work hard your whole life. Like, of course, you're like that. Your body's gonna catch up to you. I work in a like at this office, and I just look, and white people just be running down the street and just having the best time of their lives. I'm like, yep, want that. Like, I'm not envious of it anymore. I'm like, I want that. I want luxury. I want relaxation. I want these things, and I'm not going to act like it's not for me, because it truly is. Otherwise, I wouldn't want it. So, but I don't want it just for me. I want it for y'all too. Like, the idea, like, even this whole debate on Twitter where people are like literally arguing that people shouldn't be making, like, fast food workers shouldn't be making $15 an hour. Like, y'all are really fighting for people to stay poor. And I just truly do not understand it, because once we, like, America is too rich of a country. Like, we are a first world country. It does not make sense that Jeff Bezos can make basically my whole year's salary in a minute while people are homeless. Like, it doesn't make sense. The cards are stacked so different. But I think we are like, nah, we're coming for that money. Like, billionaires should not exist when there are homeless people, when people are only making $7 an hour. Like, it don't make no sense. So that's not really about rest, I guess, but I guess it kind of does, because people aren't, like, people who have to work continuously aren't allowed this rest. And that is smallness, and we are rejecting that. Like, we are welcoming bigness in our bank accounts so we don't have to rest. We are it's a big, I don't want to say bigness. We're rejecting $7 an hour, and we're welcoming the millions in the bank account. That is what we're doing, because it doesn't make any sense that people are out here making whole year salaries in in minutes. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, I just really want to kind of challenge that shame around rest in Black and, I guess, BIPOC communities, and really embrace that. and kind of liberate our parents too, because it's like, no, like I can have this rest, but also you can too, and you deserve it. Like you should not have to work hard your whole life. And I know that may look different for a lot of people. Something that I've been incorporating this week is just kind of doing a 5-minute bath before bed, a 5-minute Epsom salt bath with lavender. And I do not have the best bathtub, but I'm imagining that I'm in like the most luxurious place in Hawaii or wherever, like wherever I want to be, um, while I'm in that bathtub and just smelling lavender and just making it a whole vibe and really kind of embracing relaxation wherever I can find it. Because I still have to work, but in my mind, I know I won't be living this life of labor forever, okay? I also kind of wanted to touch on too that the rest is going to look different for a lot of people. Um, I don't know. I'm not really into telling people like, yeah, you're only resting if you aren't on your phone or you're not getting any dopamine fix from like TV or whatever. Like, I'm not really into that. I do know rest truly for me is it looks like me not being on my phone, because that my like being on my phone can really give me anxiety, just from like seeing what everybody else has going on or just consuming other people's lives. Like for me, I want rest to look like, I don't know, I guess like kind of coming back to myself. Like I'm constantly consuming so much through social media or work or whatever, and then just giving myself like time to decompress from all those things to truly listen to myself. But for you, that may be looking like being on social media because you may not follow, toxic people or whatever. It may look like watching TV. For me, rest for sure has been watching Adventure Time. It's on HBO Max. I never watched it growing up, but I truly love this show. It does not stress me out. It does not give me anxiety. And it's just the cutest show. They sing these songs. I just love it so much. I'm sure all of you guys probably already know about Adventure Time, or maybe you don't. But if you want a cute little show, Adventure Time is the cutest. So yeah, that's what I've been watching. And that feels like rest for me. But you just have to find whatever is not the work, that is the rest. So that's what my boyfriend said. And he put it so eloquently in that one little sentence: whatever is not the work is the rest. And yeah. Speaking of my boyfriend, I kind of want to touch on kind of like how rest has played out in our relationship. Glennon Doyle pretty much said it perfectly in her book Untamed, like where she details like watching Abby like pretty much chilling, and she's like, Shawty, you need to be working up in here. You need to be cleaning. You need to be, and I was like, yes, Glennon. And I thought she was gonna be like kind of encouraging that behavior, but then she was like, pretty much Abby was like, you don't think this is okay because you don't allow yourself rest. And then I was like, yep, that, yeah, reading me to filth, Glenn. And that's what that whole book is, just reading me to filth, because that's exactly how me and Montez literally got into like a little tiff earlier this week on Monday, because he was like watching Game of Thrones in the morning, and I was just like, that is not a morning routine. That is not how you should be spending your morning. You're supposed to be productive. You're supposed to be da 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 da. And he's laughing, and it just was so whack and so mean and so not fair to even be requiring that of him in the morning. We had a flat tire. That was the whole situation. So we had a flat tire, and as we're waiting on our tire to be changed, he's like watching Game of Thrones on his phone. And I'm like, you should not be consuming anything in the morning. But it was already kind of a stressful situation. And because I don't allow rest of myself, I don't allow rest of my partner, because we can sometimes see our partners as extensions of ourselves. And so as we start to treat ourselves with unkindness, we can extend that to our partners, which is so not fair. And so the more I just am like showing myself compassion in that area, the more it allows me to show Montez compassion in that area, because it truly is annoying to be always like, just, I don't know, like, because we already have our own inner critic. Like, I'm sure he's having whatever, like his own inner critic is saying whatever to him, and me coming along and also like nagging, like that's not fair. And I shouldn't require that of him, and nor should I require it of myself. Rest is okay. It's okay to watch a little TV in the morning. Like that's not gonna kill you. Just reading that in Untamed, it was just like kind of seeing a mirror. Like that is how I act, and it's scary. And so like in that situation, it kind of was a callback to that, because I truly forgot about that. But then I was like, oh yeah, this is like what Glennon Doyle talked about. So yeah, as the more you liberate yourself and you allow rest for yourself, the more you allow for others. And that's kind of what I was saying too with our parents. Like, the more our parents can, like, as we get into our adult lives, definitely not as a child, but like the more we're like, yeah, I want this, and we're advocating these things for ourselves, the more we can liberate our parents and liberate our communities. And that's truly all I want for us. I also kind of wanted to touch on, because I feel like a big fear of rest is, well, if I take time for myself, then I'm going to miss something, or I won't progress in this one area, or whatever. And I just wanted to say that rest is productive. Like, you need rest. Like, even the way our brains function, the reason we have to sleep is because constantly throughout our day, our brains are working so hard. And once we get into that good REM sleep, it's releasing those chemicals, it's releasing all the things it needed to function throughout the day. That's why people who haven't slept in so long are acting freaking crazy, because they're just hopped up on all these chemicals in their brain. Like, even God rested, on the seventh day. Like, if you're a spirit of a religious person, like, rest, you need it. You truly need to, like, you need it to be productive. I've had days where I've like run myself rampant, or like tried to stay up and like knock something out, and then you're no good the next day. And so you're pretty much losing out on 2 days of work when you could have just got what you needed done, and like got a little bit of what you needed done one day, went to bed, and woke up the next day and got a little bit more done, versus not being good either one of those days, or losing a whole day of progress. So rest is productive, and the more you kind of realize that, instead of in this like hustle and bustle culture where it's just kind of this busyness but nobody's really doing anything truly remarkable, I feel like it's just, let's just push out as much content or whatever. But it's like, okay, like, what's the difference between content and art? Like, what separates you from the rest of the people just pumping out kind of the same looking things? Like, I feel like in the times where I rest, or even like in a shower where I'm not consuming anything, where I'm kind of getting a download of the day, like some of my best ideas come to me. And that's because you're not consuming, you're in a state of receiving. And that's when, and that, I feel like that also plays into sleep. So just get your rest. It's not worth it to just keep denying yourself the rest. You need it, and it'll make everyone else around you happier too. So yeah, that was episode 2 of Rejecting Smallness. Thank you guys so much for being here with me and listening. We got a challenge for you this week. Don't go nowhere yet. This week we're just gonna find time for rest. That can look like I said, whatever is not the work, that is the rest. So if that's just taking 30 minutes to watch a show that's not gonna give you anxiety, like not your thriller show, a show that's more calm. Maybe it's your therapy watch. Like, I've seen The Office like 20 times. So maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's a bath before bed with some lavender and some Epsom salt. That is like my go-to right now. Maybe it's actual rest, like going to bed on time. Whatever that looks like for you, do it. Find time to read that book this week. I know rest is really kind of a luxury for some people. That's what I'm saying. Kind of find whatever works for you. I hope you guys have a good week. I pray rest comes to you. I pray that the more we kind of advocate these things for ourselves, the more we can liberate one another and truly find rest. I pray y'all have a good week, and I love y'all. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it.